President Donald Trump launched a fresh tirade against European nations for refusing to join the U.S. offensive against Iran. While Trump told allies to go get their own oil, saying it was not America's job to secure the Strait of Hormuz. While President Trump claimed that the U.S. offensive could conclude within 2 to 3 weeks, warned that he will not have anything to do with the waterway's future. Listen to this.
I think that the people understand it. We'll be leaving very soon, and if France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, they'll go up through the Strait and Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually, but we have nothing to do with that.
Earlier on Truth Social, Trump had told governments worried about fuel prices to go get their own oil by force. His outburst followed proactive pushback from Europe, where France blocked Israeli planes carrying weapons from its airspace. Italy denied last-minute landing rights to U.S. bombers in Sicily. Meanwhile, Spain has barred the U.S. from using its bases and airspace. While the U.K. allowed the use of its bases for a war in its own government deems illegal, it still faced Trump's public admonishment. Trump suggested that the UK and others should build up more delayed courage and take control of the strait themselves. US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth echoed this, questioning why the big bad Royal Navy wasn't stepping up.
Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well. So he's pointing out this is an international waterway that we use less than most, in fact, dramatically less than most. So the world ought to pay attention to be prepared to stand up. President Trump's been willing to do the heavy lifting on behalf of the free world to address this threat of Iran. It's not just our problem set going forward, even though we have done the lion's share of preparation to ensure that that strait will be open, which is an outcome the president's been very clear on.
While UK is sending extra troops and more air defense systems to the region for defensive action. On a trip to the Gulf nations, Defense Secretary John Healey said that extra air defense teams and systems would be deployed to Saudi Arabia, Bahrain and Kuwait, while the use of Typhoon jets in Qatar will be extended. This will raise the number of UK personnel involved in the defense of the Gulf and Cyprus to around 1,000. Meanwhile, the economic fallout of war is intensifying. Irish leader Michel Martin has described the resulting oil supply shock as probably the worst ever. With U.S. gas prices exceeding $4 a gallon, Trump faces a domestic discontent over the month-long conflict. From the Vatican, Pope Leo expressed hope for an end to the violence by the Easter weekend. And in an unusual direct appeal, he urged President Trump to look for an off-ramp to end the war.
So I would certainly continue to give this call to all leaders of the world and say, come back to the table for dialogue. Let's look for solutions to problems. Let's look for ways to reduce the amount of violence that we're promoting. And the peace, especially at Easter, might reign in our hearts.
Well, earlier during his Palm Sunday Mass, the pontiff had remarked that God ignores the prayers of leaders with hands full of blood. A statement which is widely seen as a rebuke of Trump and the war in West Asia.